I don't fuck with clowns. I don't have a phobia, but I just don't like them. And for some reason, it felt racially stimulated, like respectfully, like, and I did.
Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of No Right Answers. Today I'm with my boy Sque3eze. I recently met him, really cool dude. We were just vibing at the club, traded Instagrams, and this podcast is actually recording like 3 days after, so this is very
fresh.
Yeah, very fresh, very not impulsive, but we're both very down to create stuff, so I love that. But like I said, I just met this guy, so I'm kind of meeting him for the first time right now. So I definitely want to talk more about kind of who you are. So I'll let you do a little introduction and then we'll get straight into it, brother.
Yeah. So what's going on? I'm Sque3eze with a 3 in between the 2 E's. If you didn't know, now you know. From Boston, Massachusetts, and I reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a recording artist as well as film and TV producer. Just your Renaissance man,
All right, so first thing I want to ask is, where does the name Sque3eze come from?
Oh, God. Oh, shoot. Okay. So this is a bit of a story. Are you ready?
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay. So typically I tell people the wrong thing. I just say
I
just make something up, But so Sque3eze is short for El Sque3eze, right? El Sque3eze sounds funny, haha, right? El Sque3eze comes from back in the day when MySpace was cool, right?
Okay.
So I'm kind of showing my age a little bit. Maybe not. But back in the day when MySpace was cool, there was a site called pimpmysearch.com.
Pimp My Search.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a search engine. It looked exactly like Google, except where it says Google, you could change that to whatever you wanted it to say, and you could change the style. So it would be personalized, right?
Okay.
So my older sister, she had kind of introduced that to me. This is back when we had the fat back computers and, the monitors, God. So dial-up and everything, Jesus Christ. But yeah, this is back then, and she had introduced it to me. She had this cool nickname, J Tizzo. At the time it was cool, right? So I'm like, dang, I don't have a nickname. So there was a button at the bottom of the search engine saying, well, can't think of a cool name, click here. And I was like, well, that's convenient. So I clicked there, and they ask you your first and your last name, your favorite number, right? So I'm typing in that, and it just generates a plethora of different variations of what you put in. So nothing was sticking. It was all pretty corny to me, very basic and things I'd seen before. So I get to the third page, right? And I'm like, hey, if I don't find something now, I'm just gonna have to figure something out, right? I'm just gonna have to earn my name, right? And it was the second or the third one to the bottom, and guess what it said? It said, Trick Magnet El Sque3eze.
Trick Magnet, okay.
Not cool, but at the time I thought that was hilarious, right? So, like I said, I'm really young at this time. I might have been probably elementary or middle school age, and I clicked that. I'm like, yeah, no, that's my name. So I put that there. I put it on my MySpace, and then later on, maybe weeks or months down the line, my mom was hosting this event. She had done community work back in Boston. She was a part of this nonprofit called Family Movement. So they did a lot of things in the community. And she had this event that needed to be catered. So she had me and a lot of the kids my age and my sister's age help her cater this event. And in the back of the venue, there were computers. So we're kind of just shitting around back there on the computers. I pull up my MySpace, and I had walked away, right? I had walked away and forgotten I had my MySpace pulled up. My sister and I have a 5-year gap. So I definitely wasn't a teenager yet, but she was. So one of the girls that was her age saw my MySpace and saw the name, and she was flabbergasted. Trick Magnet? She was like, bro, who is this? You know what I mean? Because I didn't even know what a trick was. I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like, oh, that's my MySpace. And she's looking at me like, what? This is your that's you? I'm like, yeah.
Like, hell yeah. That's me.
So she had taken it upon herself to delete the trig magnet part. And at first I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? You know, my people, like, they're not gonna know who I am anymore. And she just left the Sque3eze, and I was looking at it like, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I can get people to call me that, you know? So years had gone by, I stuck with that name. Some people had opted into saying it, you know, a lot of people.
So like you would introduce yourself as like, my name is Sque3eze.
Introduces a strong term. I would be more so like, because this is when I started writing rhymes regularly.
Okay.
So I started writing rhymes for the first time in 2nd grade.
Wow, that's pretty early.
Yeah. I was really into poetry and storytelling at a very early age.
Did you enjoy reading as well, or?
I did enjoy reading, but I was kind of forced to read. Not forced, but I was more so just like, my mom, she had a shit ton of books for us at the house. Those Treehouse books, Judy Blume this, and Mystery that, Goosebumps this, and a lot of that stuff was also hand-me-downs from my sister. And I would never just choose to read. My mom would always have to tell me. So starting was the hardest part, but once I started, it was hard to stop. So I was very into storytelling. I would do that through various projects at school, just writing stories, you know what I mean? Even at home, just aside from school writing stories. Once they taught me how to write poetry and I learned I didn't have to rhyme, I was like, oh yeah, I like poetry. So I started doing that. And then I was really into Nas. So he was my first favorite artist. And I was like, I like the way he tells stories, so I want to do that too. So I started writing rhymes very early. And so fast forward to Sque3eze, it was like, that's my rap name, you know? So I wouldn't necessarily introduce myself as that because I wasn't necessarily in those types of settings, but I would find a way to segue like, oh yeah, no, call me Sque3eze though, you know? And people thought it was hilarious. I was living in the hood, so a bunch of hood dudes, like, they actually weren't fucking with that because it was
really?
Yeah, nah, they were just like, bro, we're not calling you Sque3eze. That sounds weird. You know, like, we're not doing that. So it took one of the guys from around the way to call me Sque3eze one day. Like, it was super random.
Like, yo, Sque3eze.
It was, bro, he just called me Sque3eze. He just shortened it. There was this really viral video going on at the time that YouTube was really, like, at its, you know, start, I would say. And these guys had, like, freestyled this song. And it was, like, something along the lines of, baby lotion. She got that baby lotion. Sque3eze, she got that Johnson Johnson. My last name is Johnson, right? So me and him had watched that video and geeked off of it. So one day he just called me Sque3eze. And when I tell you, that stuck. Like, to a point where I could go anywhere in Boston and people would just know me as Sque3eze.
Wow.
And I wouldn't even know who they were. I had taken this girl out on this date to the aquarium, right? I was really interested in her. I had just gotten out of a relationship. So we were kind of courting each other. And we had been friends from like 5th grade, 6th grade, right? So now we're like 19, 18 years old, just in Boston, just hanging out for the summer. So I'm like, yeah, let's go to the aquarium. She's like, cool, I'm gonna bring my 2 little cousins.
Okay.
So I'm like, fuck. I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm just making sure. So I'm like, fuck, like, I don't got bread for everybody because the aquarium's not cheap, you know? And I'm like, okay, cool, bring them. So the entry fee went from 2 people to 4. And I'm stressed and I'm like, how am I gonna finesse this? And we get to the place where they give out the tickets, right? And there's a guy at the door. He's just like, yo, Sque3eze. And I'm like, who's calling me? And I look, and he kind of looked familiar, but I didn't know where I knew him from. He's like, yo, Sque3eze, what's up? So I walk up to him, like, yo, what's up, bro? And then he's like, yo, you didn't pay, did you? You coming in? And I was like, yeah, but it's not just me. It's, you know, a couple of my people. So he goes, nah, y'all good. And I was like, oh my God. Right place, right time. But yeah, I had a lot of moments like that. But yeah, that's pretty much what Sque3eze came from, bro.
How did people know you? Like, were you making music like, or people just like knew who you were from like word of mouth?
I think it was a lot of everything. So initially, like I said, I was living in the hood. And if you don't know anything about Boston, let me just tell you this. Yes, there are black people there. Boston is like divided up into different places like Roxbury, South Boston, Dorchester, where I'm from, Mattapan. We got goddamn Hyde Park. Like, there's different places, right? So those are the towns within the city of Boston. So those are the places that you get a lot of Caribbean culture. There's Italian, there's Irish, there's just a lot of everyone. You know, Nigerian, shout out to my African people. But it's also Asian culture too. It's a melting pot on a smaller scale of New York.
Okay.
But yes, I lived in the hood of Dorchester. So
in the hood, it was also like very diverse.
Very.
Okay.
Very. But if being there, you know where to go to see black people.
Okay.
You know, like you could turn a corner and not be in the hood anymore, literally. Very weird, but that's just how Boston is. So I played sports growing up. I played on a club team called the Dorchester Eagles. We were a Division I team, or they are a Division I team. They actually just made it back from Florida just, you know, not too long ago.
This is high school?
This is before high school.
Oh.
So I had played on that team, but it's like each town playing against each other, and all of us are very good. Like, if one of us if my team's not going to Florida, the next town over is going to Florida.
So it's very competitive.
Very competitive. You know, just always in the paper, always trophies, this and that, da 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 da. So that's why I ended up meeting a lot of the people within Boston just through that, and going to the YMCA, playing basketball, and just really being a competitor. So by the time I got to high school, I was more so reaching into my creative bag, right?
Okay.
So I started dancing, you know. This is back when jerkin was, jerkin was out here, man. We was out here, bro. I was a part of a crew, Young Jink. Actually, Jink was a California-based crew that was split off from the Power Rangers. The Power Rangers were in the music video with the New Boys. Not teach me how to jerk. You're a jerk. But yeah, Anyway, I was a part of the Young Jink, Boston, you know. But yeah, I was a dancer. I used to battle people and was very just vibrant in my creativity. But I was also making music at that time. My first 2 songs I ever recorded were jerk songs. And after I recorded those...
What does that mean to be a jerk song?
A jerk song, so jerking...
It's something you could jerk to?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I was making music to dance to.
Okay.
So yeah. So the jerk, if you guys don't know, it's a dance, you know, the reject and da-da-da-da, like it's a bunch of stuff. But jerk music was music that catered to that style and that form of dancing. So that's how I got into music, actually, which is funny.
Like dancing was like the intro, like
dancing.
Like the music makes me move this way. What's so cool about this music? And, okay, that's
it was fun. The dancing. It was the style, because I'm also into like fashion too, and just aesthetic. The aesthetic was it just catered to me. You know, skinny jeans. I was already wearing that, and honestly, I didn't get a lot of pats on the back for my style initially, until it was like trending, and it was like, now everyone's doing it, and it's like, fuck you guys.
I've been doing this shit, you know what I mean? Like,
fuck out of here. So, but yeah, I felt like I found my calling with that style, and therefore, you know, sparked the music. But I was all over the place, bro. Like my best friend, Niz, shout out to Niz, he's also my manager. He was very just, how do I say it? He was adventurous.
Okay.
So me and him, we met in middle school. By the time it was high school, he went to a different school. So even though we didn't go to school together anymore, we still hung out, like weekends, after school, whatever. And I would ask my mom permission, like, hey, can I go over Niz's house? Because he literally lived down the street from me. And she already knew if I was with Niz, we were probably going to get ourselves into some sort of adventure. So she'd tell me, like, are you staying at his house? And I'd be like, yeah, no, we're just going to be playing video games or, like, playing basketball. He had a hoop at his house. She's calling me, like, because I didn't call her. Hey, where are you? Niz, where are we? Chinatown. Yeah, we're in Chinatown. Chinatown? Do you even know how to get to Chinatown? You know what I mean? Like, we were all over the place, bro. So, through that, we would meet different people.
Was Niz?
Niz, yeah.
Was Niz a very like, how do I say it? Like, not bubbly, but
Extroverted?
yeah.
We were both, okay. Niz is an extrovert with introverted tendencies.
Okay.
And so am I. But when we are together,
y'all forget about the introverted tendencies.
We are like a bomb. Like we're C4. Like we're explosive. We just hype each other up the entire time.
Bro, I fucking love that.
Yeah, like you won't do that. Oh, I won't. Okay, then. And now it's like now we're both making a fool out of ourselves in public. You know. But we have that sort of chemistry where we can bring out the best and the worst out of each other. You know what I mean? And we've had that since we met. You know. So
like y'all just clicked off the bat, or off the bat.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was very intimidated at first because.
Oh wow! Like, did you at that age you kind of sense his energy of like? Actually, let me let you continue.
Well, yeah, I just didn't really know how to read him, and it wasn't just him. I was a new kid at a completely new school, and I didn't start at the beginning of the year like everybody else. So. Let me just backtrack. I went to school in Boston from like kindergarten through, I want to say, the first 3 weeks of 6th grade.
Okay.
So I was in and out of public and private school. I was going back and forth. And 6th grade, like 3 weeks in, I got accepted into the METCO program. The METCO program is a program that takes inner city youth and integrates these suburban schools. So I was placed in that program, 6th grade. Now I'm in a completely different district, a town I'd never been before, an hour away from where I live, and it's my first day.
Like you're like staying there, or you gotta make that drive?
I gotta make that drive every day,
Wow.
but it's through a busing system.
Okay.
So now it's the first day I'm on a bus full of kids I've never seen before. I had seen some familiar faces because I had gone to school with a few of them.
Like other people that got approved with okay, that's cool.
Yeah. One of those kids, I had fought a lot of his friends. So I didn't know how that was gonna go. But we ended up.
He was on the bus with you.
He was on the bus, yeah. And he was older, and I was like, I remember you. You know what I mean? So my first impression in this was like, oh, that's one of the cool guys. Like I remember, this is 6th grade. I'm like, yeah, no, he's one of the cool guys. It was him. There was another dude. It was like 3 or 4 of them that were just like in a cluster, and I was like, damn, it's just me. And I think he had introduced himself, but they had already formed their group, so I felt like I was kind of hovering, you know. But I didn't know how to read him. You know, it was my first time meeting him. I didn't know where I stood in his presence, and then.
When you say you couldn't read him, is that something that you thought you're like, I'm really good at this, like I know like people's energy off the bat, like, but for him it was like, yo, what is this? Like, what is this feeling I'm feeling right now?
I don't think I discovered that power until later on.
Okay.
I was still figuring it out, but I knew how I felt, and I felt uncertain in that presence. I wasn't sure where I stood.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, it wasn't very long until we were like slapping each other around and calling each other's moms out of their names, you know, which is what best friends do, if you didn't know. But yeah, it was pretty cool meeting him, and we've been rocking ever since, bro.
Does he stay down here, or is he still up in?
He lives in Massachusetts still. He actually just bought a house. Shout out to Niz on his new purchase.
Wow. Congrats, Niz.
Yeah, bro.
Damn, that's crazy.
He's got a free crib. He didn't tell me to say that either.
He's gonna hate you for that. People
yeah.
pulling up to the spot. But
Yeah.
one thing that I kind of wanted to, so like, I feel like what you just said is like a very good foundation for like kind of who you are and like your background.
For sure.
But some things I want to get a little bit more specific with is, first is like growing up in the hood and also being raised by like a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I could relate to as well.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to ask like how that kind of like formed who you are, because I feel like there's a lot of like stereotypes attached to those backgrounds, but I don't know. You're giving me like how do I say it? Like a unique energy, like coming from those, you know, because like it's not like you're different. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I want to see how you kind of saw that setting growing up and like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like this is not me, or it feels like how it kind of, you know, shaped you.
That's a really great question, and I appreciate you for acknowledging that. You know, sorry you also had to go through a similar thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think from my perspective, it's funny because my mom, she was very. Let's back up. You asked me if I was perceptive, and I knew that I was perceptive of reading energies, and I had heard something recently that my mom had said that changed my perception of what was happening at that time.
Like something you realized about yourself that was going on.
Yeah.
Like she pointed it. Okay.
And she wasn't even talking to me when she said this. So
oh wow. Okay.
She had mentioned that there were nights where she would be crying, and she'd be like trying not to make us aware. And she said that I noticed every single time. And I came to her, right?
Okay.
So I remember those memories, and in that time, I don't know if I ever knew why she was crying. I just knew that she was.
And that you needed to like kind of be there to support and like show her the love.
Yeah. The visuals that I'm getting in my head is my mom being in her room, sitting on her bed, crying with like literally tear droplets with an open Bible. And then scattered around that would be like classwork, because she was also going to school. And yeah, man, I just didn't know how else I could help at that age.
Yeah, as a kid, yeah, like what can you be like?
What can I do?
Yeah, let me consult you with like your school. Yeah.
So the best thing that I could do is just, you know, offer my presence, you know, and just let her know like it's gonna be okay. I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew that this was my circumstances.
That must be such a like interesting feeling as a parent to have like your kids like being that supporting role in your life, you know.
That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
So like after your so she said like yo, did she call you Sque3eze as well?
No.
Okay.
No, she actually does not.
Okay.
She calls me by my government. My first name. Oh man, my dad's probably not gonna like me saying this, so I'm gonna say it anyway because I'm a rebel. So I was actually named, funny enough, with LL Cool J in mind. So back in the day, LL Cool J was a part of this sitcom called In the House. LL Cool J's name in the House was Marion.
Okay.
Marion with an M, M-A-R-I-O-N. So my dad had named me and my brothers starting with the letter L. That was his only condition when naming his kids. It's like, my sons, they need an L in front of their first name, and they need Clinton in their middle name. So my mom was like, okay, cool. I had actually, within the past couple of years, found a book of a bunch of like African names from A through whatever. And in the back, I had literally seen my middle name written out next to another like variation of it. And I'm like, holy shit. Was this what my mom was using to figure out how to name me? I found this recently. I never knew where the name came from. So my full name is Larian Lakai Clinton Johnson.
Larian Lakai Clinton Johnson. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Lakai was in that booklet, and Clinton was given to me by my father and his father. Larian and Lakai were two names that my mom was like, I don't know which one should be his first name, but she loves LL Cool J, like loves him. So she was like, bet, Larian. Instead of Marion, of course, L. Funny thing about my entire name is my mom was a Johnson before she met my father. My father, of course, is a Johnson.
Yeah.
So regardless of whose last name I would have taken, it would have been Johnson. So she decided Larian is the first. I'm going to have two middle names, Lakai Clinton, Johnson being the last. LLCJ.
That's cool.
At your service.
That's funny. Van's his third child, his initials are LLC as well.
No way.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
I think it's Levi. I forget his middle name, and then his last name is Calendar.
Wow. LLC.
And like, I don't know if he wants me like sharing this, but so like you're familiar with like LLCs, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm like, you know.
Yeah, and like Van is like obviously very like business driven, and he's planning to. So the first two kids he says he's gonna take them through like the regular schooling system, but LLC, he wants him to like kind of avoid that and just be next to him at all his like business meetings, like just showing him that world of like business, you know. And I was like,
that's perfect.
That's so cool, because I'm so curious now like who he's about to turn out to be, because like he's gonna avoid all like the like addition and all that. He's gonna go straight into like the actual like the world of, exactly. I'm like, he's gonna be some fucking smart mother. Yeah.
Very much prepared for his future.
Yes.
Speaking of LLCs, shameless plug, you know, I got the Sque3eze ski. This is sponsored by
kind of hard.
3eze.
By 3eze?
Yeah.
What's that?
So the number 3 represents.
Can I see that?
Yeah, sure. So the number 3 represents mind, body, and soul. But if you're from the Bean, you're from Boston, you already know what we do when we rep our city. We put up the 3s. So
that's the Boston thing?
Yeah.
Like this or like this?
It's really like this.
Like very like.
But I don't give a fuck. I just be throwing it up. You know what I mean? However I can. So shout out to my city. You know what I mean? If you need a Sque3eze ski, you know where to go. See me.
It's pretty cool. It's like soft.
But yeah, my
so is this like a brand of yours? Like
my company is 3eze.
3eze? That's what it's called?
Yeah, it's spelled the same way as Sque3eze, but as 3s.
Okay.
So there's a 3 in between the 2 E's and 3s as well.
There's 3 in between the E's.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, it was like I had to like process that real quick.
No, honestly, you're not the only one. So anytime I shout out my name when I'm performing, and I tell people like, oh yeah, it's just Sque3eze with the 3 in between the 2 E's. It kind of rhymes, so I think people get lost in the scheme.
Yeah.
And then they forget how to actually spell Sque3eze.
Yeah.
So people typically forget the U because of all the E's.
Okay.
Yeah. The U is definitely there.
Don't forget the U.
But yeah.
So back to like this whole, we kind of got off track with like the whole naming thing,
We
but
did. I think it's the ADHD.
no, you're fine. I love these little trails that we go on to.
It's like a Family Guy episode.
But I think we were talking about
We were talking about my upbringing.
Yeah.
Being in a single parent household. So yeah, that was something that I had noticed, which is what I wanted to tap in on.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Oh, you got the older sister.
I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers, and I'm the youngest out of the 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was really raised with only one of my sisters because we have the same mom, and then my other siblings, we all have the same dad. They're by way of New York. I'm from Boston. By way of Virginia, where I was born. I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. You know what I mean? 7'5", shout out. But yeah, I grew up in that household with just my sis and my mom, and then yeah, my father, he was incarcerated for most of my life. So it was tough, bro, because I knew he wanted to be there, but he just couldn't, you know?
Okay. I mean, I at least like to hear that, you know, he did want to be there and wasn't like just avoiding that situation,
the responsibility,
you know?
Yeah.
And one thing that I actually wanted to ask, like I said before, you know, we have pretty similar stories. I have a single mom and I have an older sister. And one thing that I actually wanted to ask you was, in that position, especially being the younger brother, not the older brother, I looked up to my sister a lot. She took care of me. She was like kind of like the provider or
just like
caretaker, yeah. While my mom was like just like working. So looking up to my sister and not looking up to my mom, but having my mom as like the adult figure in my life.
Yeah.
I would say, instead of like, not that I didn't have to become like the new man of the home. I would say that like I started to like pick up on like their characteristics, like of like how like my sister acts with her friends. I'm like, oh, okay, like, so I kind of have this like a little bit more, I would say, feminine energy than like the day-to-day guy. But I know like other people, they take that situation completely different. We're like, oh, I'm the man, I gotta step up, like, let's like, I don't know, take care of my family, even though they're the younger siblings. So I wonder how it kind of affected you in that mindset.
That's so interesting. I'm so glad we're having this conversation, bro. Like, this is great. This is awesome. Okay, you get it. Okay, so yeah, I would say I definitely have a plethora of feminine energy just through the influence of not only just growing up and being raised by my mom, and also, I mean, just give my sister the credit, by my sister too. My aunts, you know, like I have a shit ton of aunts. You know, my great-grandmother, my grandmother, like they all stepped up in helping out. So I spent a lot of time with women, you know, growing up. So talking to women now, it's second nature. It's not hard. You know, it's very natural for me. I think I would say for me, the biggest struggle internally, maybe it doesn't come off that way, you know, externally, but just connecting with men.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because there's a lot of things that I just don't necessarily subscribe to, you know, as far as what the alpha man does and da-da-da-da. It's like, I think there are alphas and I think there are others. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean, or doesn't mean like if you're not an alpha, you can't provide. You know what I mean? I don't subscribe to any of that crap. So when I speak to women, I'm able to speak the language of women. You know, when I speak to men, because now I'm solidifying my manhood and internalizing what that actually means to me. You know, by my definition, I'm able to speak the language of a man, and sometimes it doesn't translate to how the person is receiving it, or how they receive manhood, whether it be a man or a woman. I've been through a bunch of different scenarios where it's like, I might, like, I don't know how controversial we can get here, but just, you know, the LGBTQ community, I don't have a problem with having friends who, you know, thrive in those communities. I have no problem with that. Men or women, I have a problem with people who cross boundaries. As in, okay, so the day-to-day of a woman, it's kind of like, there might be some fear of, damn, if I wear this and I go out, how many men are gonna try to approach me? Or even if I don't wear this, how many men are gonna try to approach me? It's like, I don't think there's an issue with approaching a woman because you're interested. I think there's an issue with approaching a woman, expressing your interest, getting shut down, and then still crossing the boundary of, like, well, I'm still interested.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's like, I've already shut that down. Just relax. You know what I mean? I've been hit on by plenty of guys. You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't have an issue with that. Honestly, that's great. I'm an attractive man. You know what I mean? So it's like, for me, that's cool and all. But if I'm like, yo, bro, I'm not gay.
They gotta be able to respect that.
Don't then try to make me like what you like. It's like, bro, if I don't like avocado, don't give me an avocado. You know what I mean? But a lot of the time, with people who are homophobic, they're homophobic. So it's like, they operate in a completely different way. And if you don't operate that way, it's like, well, are you gay? You know what I mean? And I've gotten that a few times, and it's like, that's weird. That's more of a projection, in my opinion. Because if you feel like that's how, people who are homosexual act, I feel sorry for you. Because now you're putting on this front that you have to be this, and it's like, I'm living free. I have no stress when it comes to that. You're in a box.
I think it kind of comes from like the jealousy of being able to express yourself so freely and not caring what other people think, because they're like, oh my God, how is he acting like that and not afraid of like coming off as gay, like.
Facts.
So like when they see that, they get like a little like defensive maybe. I'm not saying this is everybody, but that's just what's going through my head right now.
For sure.
I don't know if anyone, like, I've had guys hit on me as well, and it made me think, like, am
I doing too much?
Am I coming off, like, as like I'm flirting, or, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I've never had someone be like, Justin, you're so, like, you're such a, like fag, like, you're so gay, like, I've never had that, but I was just noticing it myself, I'm like, oh, I am pretty feminine in some ways, and, like, not that kind of ties into my sexuality. It's just like,
it just is.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has like the duality of like masculine and feminine energy. Cause like for me, like being the feminine side kind of comes with like being emotionally in tune with yourself, like understanding like how to talk to people and like just understanding your own emotions, And the masculine side for me is a little bit more like the logical side, and you like whether that's like the. I don't want to say business, because then I feel like people might see it as like, oh, you don't think women can do business,
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that, but it's like...
The way you process things, it's more mathematical versus, and very matter of fact.
Yeah.
I feel like women by nature are more emotionally intelligent because of how society allows them to thrive emotionally, with it being okay to express your emotion.
That's true. That is true.
So through men, it's like men typically aren't as emotionally intelligent. Not saying that men are not overall. It's just generally men are not as emotionally intelligent because we are taught through societal norms to operate in a completely different way.
Yeah. Like keep those feelings like to yourself. Like no one gives a fuck. Like man up. Like that type of stuff. Yeah, I agree.
So would you say growing up in the household that you did with, surrounded by feminine energy, that you were in an environment where it was okay? Or would you say it was an environment where you had no choice but to learn how to thrive in your emotion?
Wow, that's making me think. So I want to say being able to express my emotions was very hard for me, because I feel like no one kind of understood why, or like the way I was feeling. And like growing up, like I did have like a temper, and like I was a pretty bad kid. Like I would just fuck around, not listen.
Yeah.
So when I get angry, I would just like it's like more the feeling, and I just express it. Like I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. Like I'm just like, this is how I'm feeling. You got to know that. Yeah. And that was kind of unhealthy, because when people would try to like understand, like my mom. And the tough part for me is like we have like kind of like a language barrier. Like I was born in the States, so English is my first language.
Where's your family from?
So she's from South Korea. So she's been living in the States for a while, but she's always been in that Korean community. So she never had the need to learn English. She's like, she can kind of get by, but like I'm not able to express her like like, Mom, that like the way you're talking to me is, you know, making me feel like very belittled. Like it was just like, it was like all this frustration because I can't even express how I feel like in her tongue. So like I would be like shut up, like I'm gonna just like go to my room, and I would like push people away, and I would just like internalize everything. And even when I get into a fight with my sister, like it would be weird, like, well, I don't know, it would be weird because like in that moment, like we're like very hateful to each other, like fuck you, like we like both go our separate ways, but like she's my ride or die, you know.
Yeah.
But like the next day, we just act like it never happened. Like, yo, you want to go get something to eat? Like, we just started trying to talk because like we know deep down we love each other. In that moment, we obviously we were very angry, but we always kind of let it slide and just shove it under the rug. But growing up, it made me realize like that is not really healthy, you know, because that anger is still inside of us. We just kind of suppressed it and covered it with the love that we have for each other.
Wow.
So this is kind of recent, like maybe 2 years ago, we started like talking like and being real with each other and being like, yo, that makes me feel this way, or like, Sunshine, I don't think you should like do that, you know, like just being able to talk to her as like more of like a friend instead of just seeing her as like just a family member, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question? I don't know if I got.
No, it definitely does, but you definitely added a necessary layer because I grew up in a similar environment. Of course, there wasn't a language barrier, but definitely a communication barrier. And I don't know if I said anything when you had said this, but what you said resonated with me, just the dynamic and the power structure. Like your mom is, you know, she's the provider. So I don't know if it was the same for you, but there were certain instances in my childhood where my mom may not have been present physically, but I still had her support. Like football, you know, my mom did her best to like make it to games when I was youth, but those happened on Sunday and she was really into church. So it was like, she's going to church, I'm gonna go to the game. And if I saw my mom, it was like, oh my God, I gotta go crazy, right? But my sister and I, the dynamic would, she was the disciplinary.
Really?
Yeah, like my sister was she was also a tomboy. So my sister was also my older brother. I always joke about that. You know, it was such a weird flip of the switch, because it was like one Easter Sunday, she's wearing heels, and we had planned to wear Air Forces and white tees together, and my mom is like, oh my God, you look like such a lady. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Where's my brother? You know? And she had seen the look on my face, like, disappointed, and I think she was kind of like, I don't want to do this either, bro. But my mom literally looked at me and was like, just let me have this.
That's funny as
I'll
well.
let her have it. But yeah, my sister was definitely another parent in the household. She was able to speak to me on a level that I don't know if my mom was able to. And my mom was also very passionate and very emotional, but she also had a lot of things going on. So she became overwhelmed and then tried to communicate something to me. It was just rah, 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 rah. Like, I'm not really receiving that, you know? I just feel like I'm in trouble.
It wasn't like a conversation. It was more just like her, like, telling you, like,
what you did was not great, and go get the belt out of the closet, you know? But that's what she knew, you know? I can't fault her for that. You know, that's all she knew. She was a young mom. She had me when she was 23, and she had my sister 5 years before that. So, you know, as my mom watched us grow up, we watched her grow up too. So there's a lot of development in that. And she definitely had to rely on my sister a lot to stay home with me. And my sister was staying home with me. And what that means is I'm very creative and expressive, and I get very intrusive thoughts. So even though we had books and shit, I always found something to do.
What do you mean by intrusive thoughts?
I had intrusive thoughts, just entertain myself. Like,
it's like your creativity, imagination will run wild.
Absolutely. And if I was not outside and I was inside, bro, I used to like call the cops for fun.
What the fuck?
Like, bro, the cops came to the house a few times, and we're young. We're not supposed to be there by ourselves. you know? So I would call 911 and then hang up and then call again. Like,
That's so funny.
bro, what? I would try to like cook and then I'd forget about it. And then next thing you know, I'm boiling eggs and then the eggs just explode all over the kitchen. I've melted plastic in the oven. Like oh my God. This is an example of an intrusive thought here. I'm also a Gemini, so this might make sense to a few of you. Don't unfollow me if you didn't know that prior. But an intrusive thought that I had one day, I was home alone and I was just kind of like lounging around the house, just looking for things to do. I'm super young. I don't know how old I was, but I was super young. I go down to my sister's room and I know I'm not supposed to be there. And my sister was a big fan of B2K and a bunch of different artists. She had like this Pharrell poster signed. My aunt, she actually had worked for 106 in Park. She was one of the producers on 106 in Park back in the day. So we had gotten the opportunity, myself, I'd gotten the opportunity to go and meet B2K and, you know, back when they were like
That's
a
pretty
group.
fire.
My sister had been to 106 all the time, but I was too young, so I had to be backstage. Because those girls in the crowd, they get crazy. Like, they hit each other because they're so, like, yeah.
Like fangirling?
Fangirling for sure. So I wasn't allowed to be on stage, so I was backstage all the time. But not all the time, but the time that I went.
That's so cool.
My sister, she had this poster of Pharrell, and it was signed. And he was sitting on a couch kind of like this with two women and another guy. And I'm looking at this poster, and there was one of the girls. I don't know if you had done this, but like you see a girl you like, you're like, yeah, that's my girlfriend, right? So I'm looking at this girl, I'm like, oh, she's fine. Like, that's my girlfriend. But the problem was Pharrell had his hand on her lap in this photo.
That don't slide with you.
It didn't slide with me, bro. I could not let that go. I needed it back in blood. So I found a Sharpie in my sister's room.
Oh no. Oh no.
I like scribbled out his hand. And I was like, yeah, now his hand's not on her thigh no more. And then I was like, well, I can't stop there. I have to draw devil horns. And I can't stop there. I got to draw a devil tail. I can't stop there. I got to draw little lines that show that he smells bad. And I'm putting a little Hitler mustache on him. And I'm putting hearts over her head. Next thing I know, I just created a completely different photo. So she threw that out. But those are the types of...
You're just like, fuck it. You're just thinking, you're like, I just want to do it.
I didn't plan for that to happen, you know?
That's funny.
But that's the type of things, those are the type of things that she had to deal with. So I know it must have been frustrating for her, you know, dealing with that.
But I love that energy of like, just not being impulsive, but like you said, kind of like the adventure side of you. Like, I feel like I like to surround myself like with like just very down people, and like, cause it's like, you know, it's like you're having fun, you know, like you're not really thinking about the consequences, even though that's like the right thing to do.
Furthest thing from my mind.
Right? But it's like you're in the moment, you know, you're truly like being alive, you're living for yourself, you're not worried about what other people are thinking about. Like, you're like
consequences, bro. Like, if my sister's gonna beat my ass, she gonna beat my ass.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. I don't remember the ass whipping though.
Yeah, man, I used to get like my ass beat. Like, I don't know. It sounds like you were kind of like a bad kid. But yeah, I used to get
I'll say this: the times that I got my ass beat, thank God they didn't find out the other things that I did.
Oh man, yeah. But those were some good times.
Great times.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think like we kind of got your backstory kind of down. I feel like I kind of know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want to transition into more of like what you're doing right now. I know you label yourself as like a recording artist, a filmer.
TV and film producer.
TV and film producer. Yeah. So if those are the labels you carry, I'm curious on kind of what you're doing right now. I know you got like your Sque3eze brand for clothing, but I'm assuming you're making music as well.
Absolutely. I'm actually dropping an EP.
First EP?
First ever EP.
Okay. What is it called?
Long story short.
Long story short. How many songs in this?
It's 4 songs. There's one track on there that kind of segues into the project that I'm working on, the album that I'm working on.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually dropping the song list soon. I haven't decided yet whether it's gonna be today, tomorrow, or
Oh, like soon. Okay. Wait, when are you planning on dropping this EP?
May 19th.
May 19th after the event.
So May 19th is also a special day because 2 of those songs are featured in a film that I produced, I acted in, and I'm also doing music supervision for.
Was this film your project?
It was a project that I was brought into.
Okay.
Broken Leg Entertainment, their company. I worked very closely with Jake Holzer. He directed the film.
J. Cole?
Jake Holzer.
Oh, okay.
Actually, these guys are from North Carolina.
Okay, shit.
Funny enough. But yeah, Jake Holzer and Scott. Not me forgetting Scott's last name. Can we cut this out? Wow, brain fart. Wow. Scott Peterson. Scott W. Peterson. How could I ever forget that? This is my guy. But yeah, those 2 guys, they're from North Carolina. They moved to Atlanta and they started shooting shit. So I worked with Scott on a film last year called Chasing Rain that actually should be dropping this year. This is a feature film. He was one of the stars in it.
What does feature film mean?
It's a full-length film, like
an hour,
like 2
hours, okay,
like hour and a half up, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where me and Scott met, and then we had a similar conversation, you know, where we just kind of just talked about our upbringing and plans, and the rest is history. But May 19th is actually the same day of the private screening for the film, and it's called Fix. So yeah, 2 of the songs on the EP are going to be featured in the movie, and they are both dropping the same day.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know for the music you were kind of introduced to it through like poetry and dancing, but and I know you started off with jerk music, but did it kind of transition into like what type of music do you make right now?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Okay, so
you trying to play some or we gotta wait.
I can show you some. I brought a speaker.
Okay.
I can show you a little snippet. Everybody else is probably gonna have to wait, but I'll let you in on it. You know what I mean?
Bet.
But yeah, actually on my page I have previewed one of the songs, and it's called Up. But the style of music that I make is cinematic rap.
That's okay. Never heard of that, and that's very interesting.
Because I've cultivated my own sound.
What do you mean your own sound?
I've created a new genre of music to thrive in. So cinematic rap to me is me rapping, but through cinema. So the things that you hear, everything makes sense to the plot. There's a rise, there's a fall.
Kind of like
Kendrick Lamar.
Okay. I was gonna ask, like, is it kind of like the movie is the music video for the song?
Funny you say that, because the music videos that I have and will shoot for my songs will be short films. Yeah.
That's fire.
Appreciate it.
That reminds me of one song. I think it's called "She Knows" by J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that, like.
She knows, I know she knows.
Yeah.
J. Cole is a very gifted songwriter and storyteller. I listen to him. I'm not gonna say every day because I don't even listen to music every day, but I listen to him more often than not.
I think he's one of the best lyricists right now, I want to say, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to say he's like the greatest of all time. I can't say
it's
that
hard to say because he's still within this time.
Yeah.
We'll know for sure like
after
15,
the fact,
20,
yeah.
30 years down the line. Excuse me. But yeah, I would say I'm not even necessarily bound to one genre. I just know that I've created a genre for me to thrive in openly.
'Cause that's different. Like, and it reminds me of this little piece of advice someone told me was, don't try to be the best. Try being the only, and no one can compete with you at being you. And what you're doing is creating like a new thing that you kind of thrive in. It takes all of your skills, all your strengths, meshes it into one. And like I said, no, I've not heard of a cinematic like music, like rap. Like I've never heard of that. So I think you're definitely gonna take this really far if you're able to like not make it mainstream, but you know, like go all in on that.
Absolutely, that's the plan. To just be myself openly, freely, and unapologetically. Yeah. What do you think? Intrusive thought?
So okay, what I just thought was, so you know how some albums like you're like, I don't know, I forget his name, Mike Ponce, the Cooler Than Me, that song.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar.
You think like, the song goes like, you got designer shades all over your face and running around like you're cooler than me.
Oh yeah.
That guy, he recently dropped an album, and like the first thing in the album is like you listen to this whole entire thing like throughout. You know, like take time away from your day, create some time, listen to it from A to Z. And I did that, and I was like, well, this is what he took me through, like this musical journey, because he's telling a story. I'll send it to you. You might fuck with it, but what I'm thinking was like, yo, what if you do that and like make a movie out of that album, if that makes sense, like create a continuous story.
Absolutely.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
That's your vision.
On. Absolutely. I've actually created a world with characters and everything. There's a music video that's out now. It's called Numb. That's like the first drop in that story, where I actually play the Joker.
Like Batman Joker?
Like, yeah, but so the funny thing about it is, so where this concept came about is, I have these intrusive thoughts, man, you know, and I fall down rabbit holes all the time. And for some reason, after a point, clowns just never really did it for me. Like, I never really liked clowns. Like, before it was like, as an adolescent, it's like, okay, it's a clown. That just means, good time, right? But after a certain period, it was like, I don't fuck with clowns. I don't have a phobia, but I just don't like them. And for some reason, it felt racially stimulated, like respectfully. Like, and I did the research on clowns and where they came from, and you know how they were thought of, and where they, and the hobo clown was thought of post-slavery. So the hobo clown was making fun of slaves post-slavery, because it's like, after slavery, it's like, what are you doing? What jobs do you have? There were a lot of people on the streets, and they had to revert back to the skills that they already knew. The clothes that they had weren't very great, tattered clothing, shit that didn't fit, high watery, those bowl hats, patches and shit like that. The sticks with the fucking...
Yeah.
Like, these people were just newly freed slaves, and they didn't own anything. They didn't have homes. So they were taking trains from this part, that part. These people were homeless, right? So the hobo clown was making fun of that through blackface. And the media was all white run, and these characters weren't played by black people, they were played by white people. So what did? They covered themselves in blackface, thus creating the hobo clown.
So that, like, clowns weren't really a thing until the movies were like, let's make fun of these.
The closest thing that we had for clowns was like the court jester, which is like fucking ancient times and shit, and like things that they were doing overseas. But the United States, absolutely. The hobo clown.
That definitely opened up my eyes too.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
So if you even look at today's clown, what do they have? They have big nappy hair, big noses, and then they exaggerated smiles with lips, big shoes. You know what I mean? Same kind of clothing, but it varies, right? fucked up. You know what I mean? So I thought about that and I'm like, damn, that sucks. That's crazy. Now I really don't fuck with clowns. Like my kids are never gonna know clowns to be in this household. You know what I mean? So I thought about famous clowns that I could think of. You know, I'm just sitting, just thinking about all this shit. Just, oh wow, what the fuck, right? And I thought of Ronald McDonald, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I thought of the Joker. I'm like, damn, I fuck with the Joker. I do. But what if the Joker was played by a black person? Because I realized that had never been done before. And then I'm like, well, shit, if the Joker was played by a black person, would they even need the makeup? No. Because technically, by definition, this is a white character playing a black person. You know what I mean? So if a black person was playing it, they wouldn't need to cover up.
Put on a costume.
You just are who you are. So then now I'm thinking about my music and like visuals and my story. And I'm like, damn, it would be really cool to play this character authentically to, you know, true to today.
So when you played the Joker, it was in a short film?
It was a short.
Short film, and where, like, what was the story like in that? Like, just give me like a quick summary,
Yeah, so the song Numb is based around mental health, fighting your inner demons, and the thoughts of suicide. What comes with that, right? There's a lot of self-talk. There's a lot of conversations that people never hear that happen with that. And I wanted to display that on film through the story of the Joker, because before the Joker was the Joker, he was someone. You know, everybody has their breaking point. Everybody has something about them that nobody knows is happening, right, internally. So the visual is definitely expressing that transition of I was like this and now I'm like that. And when I drop these visuals, they're most likely going to happen out of order, right? Just based on how I started. And I like that. You know, you're going to have to do your little research when I start dropping visuals.
Put it together.
Put it together and see exactly what it means. But it opens up with, you know, my character laying on the ground, seemingly passed out, dreaming of Harley Quinn and not knowing who he was dreaming about. And him having to put the pieces to the story together himself, like, why do I have this in my hand? Why am I wearing this? I wasn't wearing this last night.
Oh man, I forget the name of the movie, but there's this guy, and what you just said kind of reminded me of that. He's like looking for his wife's killer, but he like has no memory. Like I think every day he forgets. So what he does is he takes photos and he writes down what's going on.
That sounds really familiar.
Yo, I'm gonna find that movie and send it to you because it's like, that movie's a really good movie.
That sounds, yeah, please send that to me.
It's a really good movie.
That's right up this alley.
Yeah, you just reminded me of that with the whole, like, not knowing where you are and, like, who this girl is that he's dreaming of. So, yeah.
I suggest you watch it. I think...
Right now?
I mean, if you want to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Look it up.
It's out there. Yeah, that's pretty funny how you drew the comparison of...
It's on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. You spell my name the way it's spelled on the
Sque3?
Yep. SQUE3.
E3.
Easy.
C.
Easy E.
Easy E, like that?
Yeah.
Sque3eze.
It should be, yep, that's the first one.
First one? This is you?
Yep, I shot, directed, edited.
This is a year ago?
Yeah. This intro is an Easter egg. This sound, you might hear it on the EP.
Did you shoot this in Atlanta?
This part I shot in Miami.
Okay.
Those cutaway scenes I shot in Atlanta.
Okay. Did you edit this as well?
Yeah.
Was that your chest?
Yeah. You see the Sque3eze?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I can see like the psychotic, the Joker now with the music now.
Yeah.
Damn, you dyed your hair?
Yeah.
I took some time just to arrive. Sometimes your mind is in disguise. Not just a prize, it's just a prize, man. Every little thing we choose to analyze, man. Dig too deep with hopes of us to try to find, man. The truth inside, but try to capitalize. So I'ma get the strap, aim it at my cap. Nigga, I'm not playing, taking finna take a nap. I'm trying to see the fear in you, nigga, where's that?
Do you have that tattooed on your hand, or was that like a, okay. I don't know if you've seen, there's like a football player, he has like a glove of that. It's pretty hard, yeah.
No, I didn't see that. I would have loved to have
So,
that.
okay, so did you have this like, okay, I'm gonna be the Joker, I'm gonna rap about this, and then you kind of wrote the song after that, or were you like, you're writing this and then it kind of like, whoa, what if I throw in this aspect of the Joker into it?
The writing definitely came first.
Okay.
I'd say a lot of the time things just kind of happen organically with me, and then I'm like able to piece a story together afterwards. But yeah.
Damn, so.
The thing about the way that I write, sometimes I'll go into it with an idea, and then the idea takes on a life of its own. After I'm done writing and recording, I'll listen back and dissect what I've done and realize something completely new.
I see a new perspective on your own work.
On my own work.
I think that's like a very interesting skill to have, because I feel like people kind of get like
lost in the initial
yeah,
thought.
like they get tunnel vision on like just their perspective and seeing it like. But I think you're able to like kind of see like yourself like, oh, maybe like you can interpret it like this, even though it's your own work. You know,
Yeah.
like you're playing like your own devil's advocate kind of.
Exactly. Okay, so when I was really young, I learned how to play chess. This kid from Harvard had fucking taught me how to play chess, right?
Okay.
Shout out to Harvard. Yeah. So I was in the office. I forget where I was. It might have been Urban League. Nancy Rousseau, she's fucking staple in the community by, my standards. One of my mom's like oldest friends, but I had been at her office. She had this guy there from Harvard, taught me how to play chess. I had taken that lesson of how to play chess and applied that to my entire life and didn't realize it. I've always been in a mindset of thinking for people before events even occur. So when I create and I'm building my resume and I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, okay, well, let me get behind the camera. Well, let me get in front of the camera. Let me write the script. Let me do this. Those are different people's jobs.
That you're able to kind of I don't know if you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. Have you seen that movie?
No.
You have not seen. Okay, I'm gonna create a movie list for you because you got a lot.
Please do. I'm a movie guy.
Yeah.
I love
Everything Everywhere All at Once is just about this lady who's kind of connected through all the alternate versions of herself. Whether she's like a chef, she's like a karate master, and what she's able to do is shift into those realities, but bring that person to her universe.
Oh my God.
So
that sounds amazing.
What you kind of just said is making me think like, okay, like right now your whole worldview is I'm a artist, right? but you're able to shift that into like, okay, now let me see my filming perspective on that, and then the audio, and like you kind of branch out, and that also kind of ties into what you mentioned earlier before we started recording about being a creator and having that vision of, I want to make like a cinematic rap. Okay, what skills do I need to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, first I gotta know how to rap, you know? Okay, but I can kind of do that. I'm able to like write bars, whatever. But what else do I need? I need to be able to film it. Okay, how is my like camera work? I don't know if that's the right word, but like, okay, maybe that's something that I gotta learn. So you start branching off on that. So I kind of want you to explain like your mindset on like stacking all these skills together to become the person that you want to be, of like a talented person, that you're able to create projects from like scratch, like all by yourself. Obviously you would have a team,
Right.
but you have the vision of like, okay, I want the audio to be like this, I want the video, like the thing to look like this, I want to edit it like this, I want the, you know.
Exactly. So to answer your question, and for those of you who haven't heard me say this before, my purpose in doing all of these things is not because I'm walking aimlessly and I don't know what I want to do. I do know what I want to do. And one of those things is create freely. And the bottom line goal for me is to be the most well-versed artist, not only my generation, but ever. So taking on those different roles is a means of doing that for me. And
Like you see it as like, it's a must.
it's 100%. Because the moments where I feel like I'm not moving, I'm failing myself, because there's always something that can be done. I've learned that from my mom. I've learned that from great teachers. There's always something to do.
Always something to learn.
It's always. You'll never know too much.
That mindset is, I can't suggest it more, because once you, man, like I'm the like best, I know everything about it. Like that's your cap, you know, and obviously like you don't know everything, you know.
There's no such thing as perfection.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, practice makes perfect. I feel like that saying was created just so you have something to shoot for. It's kind of like shooting for the stars. It's like, physically as humans, as our vessels, if I jump as high as I can, I'm not gonna hit a star. But that's my goal, right? Because I know it's out of reach. So wherever I land, it's as high as I could have gone. So that's what practice makes perfect means to me. There's no such thing as perfection, but that's always the goal. So I channel that through my artistic view, and the way that I play chess is when I'm writing, I'm thinking of, after of course I express my story, I'm thinking of, okay, now how can I adjust it for the viewer or the listener's perspective to hear it a certain way? You know, okay, well, you can't always predict what they're gonna listen to, but you can fucking try, right? You can be intentional about, you know, this chime happening at this moment after you say something about chimes. You can do little things to add to the experience and make it more of a 4D experience rather than a 2D art.
Like that intro for that music video, you're like, oh, that's an Easter egg. Not everyone will get it, but you put it in there for the people that do get it.
Bro, I started this fucking shit, this numb shit, I started dropping, because that was a photo shoot for Halloween, like probably 2 years before now. I dropped shit on Instagram. People were like fucking with it, hundreds of fucking likes. The Shade Room fucked with it, and the next year I'm dropping a music video as the Joker, and people are like, holy shit.
It's all circling
It's
back.
all circling back. And then now, a year later,
That's so cool.
I'm dropping an EP with literally the intro sound. And bro, I wasn't gonna say this, but hey, bro, this is you know what I mean. This is.
I appreciate that, bro.
Hey, bro, I wasn't gonna say it. I was just gonna leave it up for interpretation, because that's how I write. That's how I.
I mean, I feel like the true fans that are listening to this podcast are gonna be the ones that are able to catch it and
For
you know, are deserving to know that information.
For sure. Hopefully, we'll be able to drive content, you know, both ways. Just like, you know.
Oh wait, okay. I just had this like thought of what you just said, but it's like it slipped my mind about bringing things together, circling back.
We'll be right back on commercial break.
Okay, hopefully it comes back to me, but I really wanted to ask you something about the bigger picture. Oh, I remember. Okay, so are you a fan of anime by any chance? That's your shit.
I go to sleep to Hunter x Hunter every night.
Bro, oh my god, they're about to make the new season. I'm like, you didn't hear about that?
Is it official?
Okay, it might be a rumor. But I heard it was official. Like they're, about the dark forest or dark continent. Something. Like, I think it's about to be about that. And like, I don't know about you, but my favorite season was like the ant arc.
People don't like that.
I'm like, that was the best one.
It was fire, bro. Do you really get to see how Gon is a dog?
Yeah.
In that.
That's just.
Oh my god, yeah.
But okay, the only reason I brought that up is because I'm a fan of One Piece. Like I'm like caught up.
You're caught up?
I'm caught up.
One day I'll be like you.
But like it's similar to like how I feel like Oda thinks, where that series has been going on for 20 years, and he's finally connecting things from like 10 years ago, and it's like connecting now. I'm like, okay, that's kind of like you, where you have like this like vision that's like kind of uncomprehendable to like everyone else.
I can't explain it to you. You just have to sit back and watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, I just wanted to compare that, like the whole thing to you. So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of Naruto, and Naruto does the exact same thing.
That's
to
what
a
I
point
started
where
with, yeah.
they reference things and like give you flashbacks, and I'm like, that didn't happen like that. No way. And then you go back and it's like,
yeah, they put those clues in. Yeah.
Damn.
The foreshadowing.
That was 10 years ago. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, Naruto's my shit, bro. Oh my god.
Heavy.
That's like, I don't know if people like see me this way, but like I'm like an anime nerd. Like I love anime.
I love that for you.
Dude, yeah.
Good for you.
And like the reason I like it so much is because I feel like it has like this childish like stigma around it, but I feel like when you really get invested into it, like
you learn real life lessons.
Bro,
watching anime.
okay, so I don't know if you smoke, but like just watching anime when like you're a little high, like you get so like not invested in it, but I feel like I'm in that world. And like there's this one scene I remember it vividly, like it's in One Piece. Luffy is carrying like Nami and Sanji. They're both sick. He's trying to take them to this doctor, but they're like on the ice pill.
Yeah, and it's like freezing cold. And, yeah, I remember.
And he's like climbing it with his bare hands. He got like, I think he got like Sanji in his mouth, Nami on his back, and he's like right near the top, and he's like climbing this ice tower, and he like slips, and he's trying to like not fucking fall off, so he's like grabbing on it, and like his fingertips are
bloody
like,
as fuck.
Dude, that scene was so gory, and like I was like just watching that shit,
because
like
you can feel it.
Yeah, and I was like, damn, like he's that fucking guy, like that. Like imagine, I don't know, I was just like, that's like the love and dedication that you gotta have for like your teammates, and I was like, so it's just like those moments where I'm like, I kind of take those as kind of like lessons, kind of like, even though it's like fictional, it's like obviously we're not gonna be in that situation, but it just shows me like
the determination.
Yeah.
What you're willing to do to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
And Luffy and Naruto are very similar in that because it's a double-edged sword, right? They are very stern when it comes to their beliefs. Naruto,
they're Nindo.
Yeah,
that
like
ninja way.
the ninja way, exactly. Like Naruto and his ninja way, just like, I'm gonna be Hokage.
Yeah.
I don't care what you guys are talking about. I don't care if nobody in this village fucks with me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run this village
Yeah.
one day. Luffy, like, I don't care if I'm this scrawny kid who just stretches. I'm gonna be king of the pirates. You know, it's like, what are you willing to do to achieve that? Because everybody wants that. Like, what sets you apart? And it's like, what I'm willing to do. Well, what are you willing to do? Anything.
And it's the self-belief that like he's like, he's been saying that. Yeah, he's been saying that from the jump, you know. And it kind of like, I've been applying that in my real life of like trying to place these good labels on me, because I did have a bad habit of like being like, oh my God, you're so lazy, and focusing on the negatives, the bad qualities of me, and focusing on those kind of reinforces that thought and kind of makes it a part of your identity. Oh, I am lazy, so I'm gonna start acting like a lazy person, instead of thinking of, I'm a very disciplined person, I'm good and I'm good at doing my work, I just slipped it today. Today was just a mistake. Having that mindset is very different from, labeling yourself off of one day, So that's something that I've been trying to work on, and like the whole like self-belief thing, I think coming from anime, like that has definitely helped me, because like as a kid, I've always visioned like I am gonna be that Hokage, I'm gonna achieve great things, I'm gonna like be this, like, I don't know, I always thought of myself as like the black sheep, kind of like Naruto, and no one really fucked with him, like he was like, he had the beast, like I don't know, it just like resonated with me so much. So I think some of my characteristics that is heavily influenced by watching those shows growing up.
100%. Honestly, if you're watching anime and you're not learning anything, it's like, what are you watching it for?
Oh my god.
You know,
Oh my god.
like it ties into everything that we see. You know, I'm very family oriented. That's how I grew up. It touches a lot on family, especially just through the Asian culture. You know what I mean? That's something that like sits with me a lot. You know, and friendship, what you're willing to do to show not only how much you care for someone, but what you're willing to do to express that, and how you treat yourself when no one's looking is a major thing. Like that's what training is. You know, that's when Naruto is training in the rain, when everyone's at home with their families, their belly's full, he's eating ramen. You know what I mean? He's filled up on ramen, like fucking packs of noodles, and he's outside working on his chakra control. Like things that he's not great at ends up being what he's known for doing. You know, like the shadow clone jutsu, the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Like he was trash at creating a duplicate of himself, but now he does it the best in the world, really. That's the mentality you kind of have to have when it comes to this shit, especially if you're doing something, because I'm not the only person who has their hands in a bunch of different mediums, right? So what sets me apart? Okay, I want to be the most well-versed person doing this. So what that's gonna take, there's no days off when it comes to that. Like, and when I say no days off, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have your rest, but when you're resting, what does that look like for you? Resting for me, I think, we were talking about it before. It's like, I forget what I had said specifically, but this is what I was referencing to. If I'm not creating, I'm still working, or something like that, something along those lines. It's like, if I'm not posting content, I'm still creating it. So that might be,
as in like you're creating the ideas, or
ideas. I might be
like
physically doing it, setting up my camera to document what I do normally, because that's what content is really for. It's to show people what you do normally, What you might just add a little flavor to it to make it consumable.
Show who you are.
Exactly. So I take that mindset and I apply it to the mediums that I have my hands in, through film, through music, through modeling, actually. I don't think we even talked about that, but just all of those things, they tie into each other in some way, shape, or form, but I'm doing them intentionally in a way that they come together, because I'm only one person, right? I can't be like Naruto. I can't make clones of myself and be everywhere. But what I can do is I can find like-minded people. I can be intentional about creating a team, and then divvy up responsibility with one goal in mind.
And play around their strengths as well as yours.
That's the best way to do it. It's like, bro, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a job and they place you where they want you rather than where you thrive.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going to make me want to show up to work every day? I'm just going to find excuses not to be here. You know what I mean? And if you create a team with that culture where it's like Broken Leg Entertainment, literally, bro, this company that I'm working with, any project that we go into, they are placing people where they want to be. What does that do when you do that? You get the best work out of that person, because they're doing what they want to do.
It's their choice.
Exactly. We had shot a shit ton of different okay, so we had gone out to North Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I think we had just kind of met each other around this time, but we vibed so much. We just like, fuck it, let's shoot films, you know? Let's build each other's reels and let's build the company, right? So we had this plan to shoot maybe 5 or so shorts out in North Carolina. So we have driven up to North Carolina. We're staying at Jay Coulter's father's house. We're sleeping there, waking up every day and just shooting stuff. The initial plan, yeah, it was great, bro. It was awesome. The initial plan was to shoot these 5 things that we had like mapped out.
Mm-hmm.
All of those locations were stripped from us. We could not do any of that. So we're in North Carolina for maybe like not even a week, bro. It was probably a weekend. And we had to come up with ideas.
Like all from scratch.
All from scratch. Then I don't even think we had time to really write a script.
Just like improv.
We improv'd everything, and I
Wow.
think we shot more shorts than we initially planned on, just by doing it like that. I got a lot of DP work out of that, and damn, where was I going with this? Oh, okay. So we have a bunch of those shot, and I think they had a few different editors in mind, and they were just like, okay, we're gonna place these things here. You guys choose what you would like to edit. Rather than, hey, have
just
this,
divvy up the work.
here, edit this. Because it's like, no, if I choose this, it's because I'm interested in it.
Yeah, and I have like a vision already of like how I want it. Okay.
How I would want to, exactly.
Yeah, that. So like what you're explaining to me right now, I literally just seen this clip. Does the name Jocko ring any bells? I think he's like a retired like Navy guy or whatever. What he was explaining was like he was the captain of his team, and when they had a mission, a lot of people think it's him being like, okay, you're gonna be the good scout, you're gonna come through the back, okay, you are gonna have this weapon, you're gonna set up right here. But he's like, no, that's not it at all. What I do as a captain, what makes me such a great leader is I take that mission, I bring it to my team, and I ask, okay, how do you guys want to execute this? And everyone's bringing their ideas to the table. Everyone's playing a part. Because now that everyone's invested in that, or they're bringing their own ideas and they're helping create the plan, everyone's invested in it. They're not being told what to do. They're not just a soldier. They're like, they all have that belief. This is gonna work because we all agree. You know, like we're all talking about it. Okay, you don't think that's gonna be a bad idea, or you think that's a bad idea? Why? Why do you think that? Okay, that makes sense. Let's not do that. Instead of being like bring an idea, being shut down, and be like, you know what, you don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
So it creates that communication and that trust between each other. Like we're all have the same mission. We all know what parts we're good at, and this is the plan that we're gonna execute together.
That's awesome.
And yeah, what you just said is very similar to that. And I think that's why you guys are able to like flow so well, create these, create more content than was expected. You know, because you guys are all just flowing, free flowing, and just like having that symbiotic relationship of helping each other.
For sure. That's exactly how it went. Yeah.
So after you shot those films, and you said you guys got to choose what you edited. Did you guys like post these or?
So one of them is called The Call. I'm acting in it as well. It's on YouTube. Yeah, Broken Leg Entertainment. It's a short. It's like a few minutes long, maybe 3. And it's a suspense, but yeah, we have a few still being worked on right now. These are the same guys that I worked on Fix with, so we're prioritizing that, getting that situated. But yeah, all those things are gonna be dropped this year in sequence.
And is this like your team, or was it someone you just kind of worked with, and like, or?
Initially it was just a team that I worked with, but now it's kind of grown into a partnership for sure.
That's cool, man. All right, so one thing that I wanted to circle back to was also like how you said you want to be like not a jack of all trades, but a well-versed creator.
Yeah.
Who are some like inspirations or someone that kind of like showed you, oh, I can be like a guy that makes music, makes movies, like do all these things?
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown, really?
He's my favorite creator.
Wow.
Hands down. He is super talented. I feel like there's not much that he can't do through the spectrum of directing a music video, creating art.
choreography.
His dancing is ridiculous. Singing, he knows how to make a song. You know what I mean? He does it all. And he has the artistic scope to get the job done through execution. And I want to be that. So this is my way of living in it. But I want to be better than him. So, you know, I think by grinding the way that I do and not letting up on myself, but also being okay with falling short of certain goals that I have for myself, I think I'll do that. You know, just continuing to learn from the best in each department, right? And not limiting to myself, to my own growth. But yeah, he's definitely top of the list for me. But my goal in the music video scene, I don't think I said anything about this, but I want to be like the Tim Burton of music videos.
Who is Tim Burton? That sounds so familiar.
Tim Burton is a movie director. He's responsible for things like Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, which is one of my personal favorites. But he has a particular style, right, where it's kind of dark. It's kind of weird to look at, like certain things, like aesthetically, it's like, oh my God, this is kind of creepy. But you're drawn to it because of the light within it. And that is what I would like my art to display. Yeah, that's all him. Yeah, that's all him.
Okay, I see what you're talking about when you say like kind of dark and like a little like...
It's like just weird.
Like not like happy, okay.
It's exactly, it's not cookie cutter. But yeah, Edward Scissorhands is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've not seen that movie.
Oh my God. Okay, so you make a movie list for me, and I make a movie list for you, and we'll just exchange it and, you know, have a good time.
Okay. I'm trying to find this guy. Is it Neotech? There's this guy who produces like music videos, and he's like pretty known for that. I'm trying to find him. What's his name? Yes.
He worked on a Jack Harlow music video?
I think so. Like that's like the first thing that's coming to my head right now. This guy, not Lyrical.
Oh, Lyrical Lemonade?
Cole Bennett. Do you know who Cole Bennett is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I really want to work with them, especially with my brand. I feel like Lyrical Lemonade and Sque3eze just kind of go together. You know, I be squeezing lemons. So.
Yeah, I like his style of like his music videos.
For sure, same. And you know a Lyrical Lemonade music video when you see it.
Got that style to it.
There's even little Easter eggs too. This is an Easter egg. That's all I'm gonna say. But whenever you see this cup in my music videos, you should know the angle that I'm coming at. But just like little things like that just make the difference in the storytelling process. It just...
to me, that's always been so fascinating. I don't know if you ever watched like those YouTube videos of like breaking down movies and like trying to see like the director's perspective, but like, cause like when you watch a movie for the first time, you interpret it the way you interpret it. But like once you hear how the director wanted you to see it, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And you like compare and contrast like your own views. So to me, like when you consume content and just in general, I love just to hear like what people think of it instead of telling them, oh, it's like this, because now it kind of taints their pure perception. Yeah, exactly. Because like I want to see what you think. Oh, like I didn't think about it like that. That's crazy. That's pretty cool to think about. Even though it's like not the right way, no right answer is like you know, like your shit is valid. For sure.
For sure. I tend to shy away from explaining certain things for sure, like even in the music, because as I had mentioned before, you can't control what the listener or the viewer takes away from your film, and you don't necessarily want to, because
it puts it in a box.
Yeah, you don't want to put it in a box. Like, bro, you shouldn't, because that just takes away from the art. You know, art, it's expressive.
Oh my God. That's like Inception. You know, like the ending, like everyone's like, is he in the dream? Is he not? And Christopher Nolan's kind of like,
watch Numb again.
Okay.
But yes, exactly. Like just leaving things up to interpretation, you know? I love shit like that, you know? And I also love hearing what people think. You know, like when my EP drops, I'm definitely gonna want to hear, you know, what people thought. Like, even if you hated it, like, tell me what you hated
Like,
about
why
it.
did you hate it?
Yeah,
You know?
like, what did you hate about it? Please tell me. I would love to
Such
hear
a good
that.
mindset, man.
You know, I just love hearing the perspective of people in regards to art. By no means am I saying I'm gonna listen to your suggestions.
Like, yeah, tailor your work towards them.
Yeah, no, like, I'll hear you, and if I feel like it resonates with me to shift focus, then for sure I'll do it. But just more for the exchange, you know what I mean? Because that's what human interaction is for.
Okay, and one of the last things I do want to talk about is we were talking about creating content, right? Talking about like how often you post. You started with like 1 a day. That was a little challenging until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then you're like, shit, let me bump it up to 2 a day. It was challenging until it wasn't. So I kind of want to hear like your whole mindset and approach to creating content, and like also like trying to, because to me creating content is, depending on the platform, a form of marketing. You're showing like your brand, as in who you are. You know, what you create is related to what you're about. So when you create content, like what is what is the reason for you, if that makes sense?
So this is a conversation I have with myself every day because, excuse me, as human beings, we are multidimensional. The things that I feel like need to be talked about aren't always the things that I feel like talking about. And what I feel like needs to be talked about are social injustices, building up the communities, and investing in your communities to make them better. So I talk about those things in my music, right? Building up self, you know, things that are intangible, but also things that we should strive for. I also have a sick sense of humor, right? So when I see things online that I find funny, I'm already thinking about how I could make it funnier. So my content definitely varies, and where I've tried to be better about is being more intentional about how I'm utilizing my time on social media and what I'm putting out there for people to consume. One of the biggest videos on my channel on Instagram that got crazy views is something that I sat on for like a week or two, wondering if I should even post it. And it's a sick video. I don't suggest anybody go watch it. And after I posted it, because this was a day where I was like, I had already had it in my archive. Didn't have a lot of time to create content or like edit content to post that day. So I was like, fuck it, let me just post this and just, all right, I posted something for today, right? Bro, that video ended up getting like 600,000. Like,
It's on, what platform is this?
This is Instagram.
Wow, that's really good for Instagram.
Especially since at the time I was like shadow banned.
Damn.
So, yeah, me and Instagram have like this, like, they don't like me very much on there, bro. Like, they don't like me. But that happened, and I had been getting a shit ton of followers off of that video. And I'm clicking through people who are following me. I'm very engaged. I'm very active on Instagram. If you want to reach me, I'll see it eventually, right? But I'm looking at who's following me because I'm trying to figure out what the market is.
Like a niche, okay.
Exactly. And off of that video, there's a lot of people who consume more than they post, but also a lot of kids. And honestly, that broke my heart because kids shouldn't be watching this video in particular. And I'm like, damn, I just contributed to that. I didn't have to repost it, you know? I didn't say anything educational on that video in particular. I just kind of showed what, you know, people send to me. I said, hey, don't send me things like this anymore. And I posted it. But regardless of if I'm saying that or not, they're following me because I posted stuff like this, so maybe I'll post something else like that. And that's not what my page is for. So at the end of last year, I stopped posting so that I could revamp my
Your
online
image?
presence.
Okay.
Yeah. And shift focus more toward the music. Yeah, I have some comedic stuff, but I want to shift focus more toward the things that matter. And I want to be more intentional about that. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to have like an adult, like comedic video here and there. Like, I'm a human being. I'm not going to shy away from that because that is who I am. But all in all, I'm not just going to be posting things just because anymore.
Okay. I really gotta ask this. So that video that you posted, I'm assuming it came from like a genuine place from you. Like you thought it was like really cool in your head.
Well, I'll say this. Up until that video, I had been posting shit all day, every day. Comedic sketches, both thought of in my head and revamped online, you know. So people came to my page for that, right? We're coming here to laugh. We're engaging. We're reposting. I was getting a lot of engagement. Like in a 30-day span, I was probably reaching over 1 million accounts. So just doing that, yeah, it is a lot. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot, more than ever before. So I was proud of that. And then through that, people are sending me things in my DM. Oh, you should post this. You should post that. So a lot of that stuff I don't post because it's like, I don't want to post this.
Yeah, that's not me.
That's not me, you know, or I don't even find the humor in this. You know, I can't even make this humorous because it just doesn't do it for me. So that video was a strong example of what not to send me. And
But people were fucking with it.
bro, when I initially posted it, people weren't fucking with it. And they had expressed it to me how much they were not fucking with it. But I'm seeing the shares going up crazy because now Instagram shows you how many times it's shared.
Okay,
So then I made another video saying, hey, for some people who weren't fucking with this video, you guys have been sharing this a lot. This is a completely separate video. Bro, after I posted that, 600K.
Okay, so what that is telling me is kind of like the art of marketing. Even though people were not fucking with it, they were sharing it.
Yeah.
So that's like, would you say you kind of learned, oh, like maybe I could use this to my advantage of like posting something not controversial, but something that like really sticks out so that people do want to share it?
I'll even say this. Yes. I'd be texting my friends, telling them like, yo, watch this. You know what I mean? Because like I'm looking at my analytics all the time. And at this point, back then, it was like, once I reached a little like dip, I'm like, okay, it's been a couple of days. I haven't stirred the pot enough. I know exactly what to post so that I can, you know what I mean?
Oh my God. Okay.
And I would literally do it at will.
I do not check my analytics, and I think I need to so I can see what people are fucking with, because I'm just posting what I think is cool, but I gotta kind of...
Bro, analytics definitely help, because you could even post what you fuck with, but post it in a way that people might want to click on it more. You know? Soulja Boy is a huge example of this back early YouTube, where he was like changing titles.
Like the original clickbait?
Yes.
Oh.
But just going back to those basic things, or like keywords, using keywords that people might want to, like I was talking to one of my guys, and he manages one artist who's actually very talented, man. Like she's a great singer. Her name is Kennedy Ryan. Her manager is Kosh, and you know, I've done work with Kosh through media and stuff like that. Shot in some BTS for him and his company Yes Life. But we have powwows, and he's really great when it comes to social media and content and creation and
Powwows?
yeah, just like conversations, just like hashing things out, just like coming to terms with okay, this is the plan, execute, da 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 da.
Okay.
So he is a large reason outside of Kennedy's talent as to why she's reached so many people, is because he understands what people might want to click on. So there's a storytelling aspect in editing outside of the actual story that was thought of when it was being shot. He understands that. So he'll start the video off with something like, and then reel it back, and now you got to start from the beginning. Oh shit, I got to see how it got to that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So we have conversations about things like that. So I'm applying it to these videos too, to see, okay, I thought people were fucking with this.
You want to go on your page?
Let me go to my page. Let me apply
What's your
what
tag
causes
again?
Sque3eze. Same spelling, SQUE3. Yep, that's me right there, second. Yeah. So yeah, if you go to my reels, just like,
Are these all like videos that you recorded?
yeah.
What's a good video to watch? I want to. Can I click that one?
Yeah, go ahead. I didn't record this video though, but I put my.
This is your song?
Yeah,
And he's dancing to it. Or you put it over.
I put it over it. So funny thing about that is, he was actually dancing to a song that said Buck. And my song is called Buck. So I just strategically did that. I'm trying to think.
You
Keep
post
scrolling.
hella, bro. You still post like once, twice a day?
Yeah, I posted before I got here.
Oh, this one right here?
Stank on you, yeah, I posted that.
Thank you very much. So you're performing. It's so interesting because this music does not sound like you.
And that's why it's like,
like that,
I can't. Oh yeah, this is
my bad.
promo for the EP.
Yo, is this Ske3eze like part of like your like, you know how like Logan Paul has like, I forget the name of his like. What I'm trying to ask is like, is the Ske3eze part of like your like
My aesthetic.
your crowd, like your like who you are, like, oh, if you fuck with me, you're gonna be rocking a Ske3eze type of thing, or like.
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
It's the Ske3eze were actually.
I mean, it seems like you're wearing one when you perform every time.
Yeah, I've just been kind of like, branding, marketing. The Ske3eze thing happened. I had opened up for Asian Doll in Massachusetts. Funny enough.
Asian Doll, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah, she is an artist. Her and King Von used to be a thing, before he passed away. But she had been performing in actually it was Rhode Island. This is actually the time that I was working with Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. She was supposed to be one of the artists that we featured on the show, and I had gotten wind that she was gonna be performing in Rhode Island. So I ended up flying back home and opening up for her.
That's fire.
And meeting her. Funny, I was like, hey, why you haven't been opening up my email? So she already knew, okay, yeah, nah, he's legit. He's with Love and Hip Hop for real. Because people didn't know she was going to be on the show, which she never ended up being on the show. We never filmed with her.
Love and Hip Hop is on New York, on
Atlanta.
Netflix?
No, it's on VH1.
Love and that sounds so familiar.
Love and Hip Hop, yeah, this.
This right here? Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. So I produced season 10 of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta.
What do you mean you produced?
I was a producer.
Are you fucking scared? Like you were the chief producer guy?
I mean, I was one of the producers that made sure talent was doing what they were supposed to be doing.
That's really cool.
So I had people like Spice. Spice is an artist. She's from Jamaica. She's fire. Carly Red.
Carly Ray.
I had Scrap. I had Safari. Damn, you name it, bro. Kirk, Rashida, Erica Mena. They were all my talent.
Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now we're reaching about like almost 2 hours, and
Sheesh.
that's my limit. We definitely went in, and the thing I love about it is like this didn't really feel forced.
No,
you
it
know,
didn't.
like I'm just
Yeah.
like I said, we're just talking, and it just kind of we get carried away. But I don't want it to be too long because then it's just like it's hard.
It's overkill.
Yeah. But dude, I'm like it's hard to end it because like what you just said makes me want to talk about it like even more about what you're doing because I feel like we just scratched the surface of what's really going on. Yeah, we have to end it. And it's very hard to say that, but what I always say is, man, like this once you're like on the podcast once you're like our conversation is recorded in history. And what I really look forward to is looking back at this conversation 3-5 years later, maybe even a year later,
Yeah.
and seeing how much we've changed, how much we grew, how much more we've learned, and coming back here to talk about the difference from then and now. And yeah, just to see like, man, that was just a year ago. And that's what I was working on. Now I'm like working on like feature films with like A-list celebrities, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So like,
for sure.
I definitely want to have you back on. We do have, you having an event coming May 10th,
May 10th,
right?
yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to be performing with the Playlist Academy May 10th. Doors open at 8 p.m. Tickets are only $10, like literally only
Yeah.
$10. But if you wait to get them at the door, you're paying double. But the great thing about purchasing a ticket for me is you're going to get something free when you show up. So tap in with me on Instagram at Sque3eze with a 3 in between the 2 E's. We said it multiple times. It's on the ski mask, so you got to remember it. But yeah, I'll hook you up with something for free just, to show my appreciation. So
I like
definitely
that.
come fuck with us.
The love that people show you, I love that you reciprocated back.
Yeah.
But the way I normally end my podcast is I always ask my guests, hey, what's like one piece of advice you would tell your younger self? Doesn't have to be too specific. It could be very specific. Whether it's like just instances, but like usually it tends to be like, kind of how you should start approaching life. And maybe if I started doing that a little bit earlier, I'll be way further now.
My piece of advice to my younger self and to whoever's listening, no matter how old you are, is something that my mom taught me earlier on that took on a life of its own later, is trust your gut. And that might mean something differently for each person, but what it meant for me is no one knows how to go where you yourself is headed. So you have to make those decisions, and if there's something that you really want to do, there's somewhere you really want to be, and it's hard to explain to people, and it's hard to get people to see your vision, it's not for them, it's for you. So do it by any means. And you might have to turn your back on a few relationships just, to satisfy that goal. And not everyone's gonna understand. Nobody's gonna understand. You have to go into it with that mindset. Nobody's gonna understand but you.
Dude, I love that, bro. That speaks to me like so much.
Yeah.
But man, it was a pleasure having you on.
Bro, pleasure was mine. And bro, you have a place at the show too. You don't even have to pay. I got you with a ticket.
It's fucking love, bro.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Catch this episode. I'm gonna definitely try to post it before the 10th, so we can start promoting this ASAP.
For sure.
But yeah, catch us next week. Y'all take care.